There's a lot of digital transformation initiatives or projects that are terrible, and people still are investing in them and wondering they're not getting any return. That just means the execution's wrong.
We are not experimenting. We don't want their customer to experiment this application and then, oh, this fails here and there.
If you make that foundational decision wrong, we're going to be fighting that for the next 5 or 10 years.
Dominant phase is not about just scaling, it's about culture.
If we're not constantly looking for feedback, constantly looking for how we can deliver more value, look back in 12 months' time, 24 months' time, and you're going to be like, we launched it, it did well, but we didn't get any further than that.
Hey, Julian, welcome back to yet another episode of the Disruptors podcast. How are you doing, mate?
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, good. Yourself?
Doing good, mate. Today we will be discussing around dominant phase of the digital transformation. I've seen businesses like invest months of planning, hundreds of thousands of dollars into new business, new system, and all that kind of thing, but they take it as tick off. Once it's done, completed, they take it as just a task and then tick it off, and then they're happy, and then well done, and they never keep improving it. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think definitely it's a thing. I think people often look at these initiatives or projects, like as you said, like it's kind of the when we launch, it's the end. It's kind of the finish of the project, and so they close the file and they say, "Yep, that's done now," and we move on. But it's really the wrong way to look at it. It's like what I compare it to for people that are listening is like your products or your services. Are you always continually improving your products and your services? You know, you're always looking to do better. You're always looking to work out whether we can release a new version or whatever it is. We're constantly looking at how we can improve that. And it's the same thing for whatever digital transformation that we do. If you're not looking at it like the same way and you're not treating your technology or your systems like you are your product, and you're just going to leave them when you've launched them, then yeah, they'll just be stale because we know this. You know the least about it when you're actually implementing, right? You know the least. We learn so much when we go live in the live environment that we need to fix and we need to improve. And that's really the point.
What I even feel is like even the planning phase, just after the launch, what I feel is you start learning. That's the start of the project, not the finish of the project. That's how I see actually. You see the application being used by different stakeholders. You see new perspectives, new ideas coming into it, and then now new planning starts. That's it's now like is the dominant phase, as we say in 4D CX framework. What I see right now is dominant phase is not just dominant phase. Like it's not about just scaling. It's about culture, like how we continuously improve. I've been that's that's what I feel actually. And the other thing I expect, I think, is the most important. Like the problem with this is like the more how we start also. The thinking process is different. Basically, what we want to do is whenever we work with any client, they want a fixed budget to start with. Basically, they aren't just want to create a small application or a tool, but they don't want to create a culture around it. The culture is like it's a long term investment, right? It's not just once off thing like you take it off and then your application is done and dusted. We have been like building application again for tens of years now, so it's faced a lot of clients, and then we have seen changes like when we do the thing, start with a small idea. When we start developing, the development phase has gone a lot way far than when we the idea has gone more focused into deviated actually from the original idea. Do you see it happening multiple times in the projects, or what is the reason around it?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes back to where it goes off the rails probably from the beginning is not clear enough discovery, not clear enough scoping of like a lot of these businesses and systems that we're building the MVP. Typically, even if we're replatforming something or we're building completely a new initiative from scratch, whatever it is, we've got to get to that MVP stage, and And I feel that a lot of the experience that we've had where things haven't gone that well is we haven't got aligned with the people on crystal clear. This is what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to deliver. And then the management of that is where it goes off the rails. There's so much that change, especially when these projects go over a longer period of time. So, for example, they might go for 6 months. Just imagine how much changes in that business within 6 months. Right, we even look back ourselves, right, from the start of the year till now, 6 months ago, how much has changed in the business. And we're doing the same thing with clients, and clients are going through this. And so it's constantly about that communication with them and explaining to them and keeping a line. Like the project manager is so important to this in regards to whoever's managing this project or this initiative, and making sure that we, number one, don't just go and run over here and do something completely different, because there's a reason we planned this out in the beginning. But at the same time, we have to be prepared and agile enough to pivot where necessary. Um, but then that's got to be within some boundaries, right, from a scope creep perspective. And but at the same time, it is a challenge, and it always is going to be, because if we're doing things even 3-4 months later than we originally planned them, then obviously, yes, these are going to be issues. And this is where the whole point, that going to the discussion about agile or not agile, etc. But this is the whole point about Scrum and continuous delivery and continuous innovation, etc. Is that this is the problem it's meant to solve. But then at the same time, just coming back to what you said earlier about the fixed budget and stuff like that, there is that when you're working with a business or whatever else, people want fixed budgets. They want surety. They want to know that, okay, this is how long it's going to take, and this is what it's going to cost. It's a big, it's a big thing, I guess, and that's a challenge in that regard. But it's about, I guess, coming back to the original point. It's coming about shifting their mindset to say, this is a process, not a destination. It's a journey, not a destination. And we need to look at rather the 5-10 year vision, and then break it down into a 1 year vision. Right. So then we know that this is where we're going long term. Right. We know there's a project that I'm working on right now in regards to a potential project with a client for that exact thing. We're looking 5-10 years ahead of where they want to get to with this. But we also know that the MVP is X.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. To start with, there should be a first fixed budget, at least an idea what to invest, when to invest, and how to invest, kind of thing. They need to decide on that. Any kind, any business have to decide that. But again, like the whole digital transformation, the perspective around digital transformation is also about the lifestyle, not just a tick box, or like there's not just a task. Yeah, I've seen people continuously every year buying a new iPhone. It's not just they want to use the new iPhone. They were addicted to that culture and then living to that level of standards, buying the new iPhones every year, updating themselves every year. They are updating themselves every year. It's not that we are asking anyone to update the business every launch kind of thing, but as you use the project, as you but one thing is like in the firstly, let's discuss. I'm coming back to another thing is that I don't know if our audience completely know about the 4D framework or not. So let's discuss 4D framework. We have phases. Now, today we will be discussing more around dominant phase, because dominant phase is also what we believe is very, very crucial, where clients and we as the software development partner, or the partner who creates the S factor, the asset, right? We continuously work together. So let's discuss around 4D CX framework to help anyone understand what is 4D CX framework.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that we have gone through it a bit, which is, um, we've firstly got the discovery phase, and we have the design phase, and we have the development phase, and then we've got the dominate phase. Now, as you can see, they're all iterative phases as you go through it. It is what we call an agile model. We've got some of the elements from waterfall. We've got some things from Scrum. We typically work on 2 week sprints, mainly in the development and design phase. But Yes, we know that our projects that we're working with clients typically they're not fintech, they're not SaaS. They're industrial businesses, etc. That they've got a very successful business. They've got a clear goal of what they want to get to, where they want to get to with this digital initiative, this project. But they need surety to say, and we have to deliver in more of a waterfall model to begin with, right? The goal is when we get to this dominate phase, though, is we start to transition much more to an agile delivery model where we're constantly bringing improvements, right? We have done this successfully with some projects, um, where we've got the MVP kind of launched, and then we've gone straight into dominate phase, and we're delivering continuous value. That's the point, right? People look at this that aren't familiar with what necessarily we're talking about. They look at this and go, "Oh, okay, but it's just like you just want to keep billing us the development, or you want to just keep doing this, right?" It's not the point. The point of it is we should be delivering far and above so much value that it's stupid if we don't keep building on it, right? If we don't keep investing in it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's going to be a time where a business needs to pause or they need to, they're not just going to continually all the time necessarily, but you should be aiming to get there. For example, you'd want that system, that platform that you're building to replace, let's say, in your business, it might take up 30 or 40 people's, you know, instead of hiring 30 or 40 people, that platform is that 30 or 40 people. Do you just leave them? Do you not train them? Do you not work on them? Do you not improve processes with them if you literally had 30 or 40 people in the business? It's the same idea here, right? We're constantly improving, we're constantly building this out, but not only when we do that, it's scalable, right? So then suddenly we can add on a whole heap more clients because of the work that we've done previously. So I guess the whole point about it is that we get this MVP live, then we continuously deliver value in that dominate phase. And that's the 4DCX framework in a nutshell.
Yeah, basically what you're saying that I just thought of Mark Zuckerberg 10, 15 years ago. He built a Facebook for his friends. It was MVP. If he didn't scale and maintain it properly, then Facebook or Meta wouldn't have been here. And I totally agree with the businesses we deal. They are not a digital company, digital software company or whatever. So they can't always do that as well. But if you take it regard it as your asset, you have to maintain it. And then maintaining as in like this security challenges you have to deal with regularly, right? Security, not only security challenges, there are updates coming in every day. You have to cope with these updates. You, with the market change, the environment change, you have to cope with that environment change as well. And then the idea, vision change in the company, you have to cope with that as well. So, any business, what I believe is as the businesses grow, the vision also changes and then evolves, I guess. With that evolvement, the asset, whatever you're building.
Yeah, they learn more about the market, they learn more about the users that are using it, the customers, all that kind of thing. And then where can we deliver value, which gives us value back, right? So if we give value, we get value back. And that's absolutely agree. That's like so much that we learn when we've launched the MVP and we're continuously learning, we're continuously trying to deliver value. I said to someone once that was doing this to a degree in their business, where they had this platform, their edge factor, we call it, right? And I said, you are a technology company selling X. You are not selling X that has some technology. And it is a very different mindset. Now, at the end of the day, they're not a SaaS company. That's not what we're saying. But you're a digital first. You're a tech enabled. These are all cliche. Whatever else, I don't care. It's an easy way to describe it. But you are a technology company or a tech enabled X supplier, whatever. But the first thing that comes out is we don't do X. We are a technology company that supplies X or does X. Right? It's a very, very different mindset because if you do that and you think that way, then your whole business model changes to a degree, right? Like the value of the business increases, the scalability of the business increases, like everything improves. Um, Not that we change the physical part or what we're doing. That's not the point. That still needs to be just as good. How we're using tech to enable us to do that at the best we possibly at the best level we possibly can do it, the most efficient we can possibly do it and the most scalable that we can possibly do it. Do all those things, and then you increase your enterprise value.
Exactly. Again, my work somehow works with the analogy and all that kind of thing. If I can relate something to, like, then it makes more sense. Again, I was thinking of this while you're speaking. I was like, assets or this digital transformation is just like building a house. Basically, what is it is like when you start living it. Once you build a house, it's not just you build a house for 10 years. Now you're done and dusted. You change your sofa here and there according to the weather. Somewhere the sunlight is not there, so you change the sofa. You change the room color. You do continuous changes and then development in your house, interior or exterior. You start doing developing and maintaining it. Basically, it's you're maintaining, and then you, as your family goes, your requirement changes, and all that kind of thing changes, and then you again like bring the changes to the thing. Basically, the foundation remains the same, but still there are a lot of changes, right? So again, it's same thing with I believe our target market or our whoever is our listening to us. What we want to say here is that digital transformation, don't take it any your transformation as just a task for you. If you take it as a task and take it off, it's done and dusted, then you forget it, it won't work.
Yeah, definitely. 100% it won't work because you launch it, and as you said, when you launch it, you typically know the least about it. The same thing when we start projects, we know the least about it. The longer we go in the project, the longer we're more invested in it, the more we know about it, essentially. And it doesn't mean that when we launch it, it's never going to work or we should be launching a very bad thing. That's not the point. Like, you could launch something and it might work, right? And it might get results and it might do well. Let's not say that that's not the case. But you take two different, it's just like the comparing like someone that is always learning or someone that's, continuously learning versus someone that's not, or continuous improvement, continuous learning. If someone's not, let's see that one individual that's always learning and continuously improving, the other individual that's not, they're both at the same level. Now, where are they going to be in a year or 2 years' time? I can tell you the person that's going to be far ahead of the other one, which is the one that's person always continuously improving, continuously learning, constantly pushing themselves. It's the same thing. It's not rocket science, right? It's the same thing here. And so your system is the same. And a lot of people, I guess, even when we talk about this, people don't understand probably even what we're talking about, or to a degree, is that this can apply to your CRM. It could apply to your ERP in a basic form where you're improving, you're cleaning things up, you're making sure processes are as good as possible, all of that kind of stuff, right? Um, it can apply to that, but even more importantly is when you start building your own technology, right? This is what we're talking about with your Edge Factor, your own operation systems, your B2B portals, your customer portals, your warranty portal, whatever it is, yeah, mobile applications for distributors, dealers, whatever the whole, doesn't matter about the interface or the head or whoever's using it. The underlying technology, the same principle applies. Is if we're not constantly looking for feedback, constantly looking for how we can deliver more value, um, talking with those users saying, if we did X, how would that work? And they're like, oh, wow, that would be amazing. All of these things, then, yeah, look back in 12 months' time, 24 months' time, and you're going to be like, cool. Yeah, we launched it. It did well, but we didn't get any further than that.
Mm. So yeah, again, when we are building your AS factor, one thing we always try to keep in mind that we try to focus on building your base foundation properly so that whenever you scale, whenever your vision changes, we the application also could change without breaking the whole thing down. So that's what we also call one of the aspects of our design process.
We're heavy on API first, right, or microservices to a degree. And even just on this, I want to comment on this because I think there's people out there that are like, get an MVP out, forget microservices. It's over engineering. It's so much waste of time and money, all of this kind of stuff. But they don't understand, especially, for example, if you're a technical founder, or so if you're a technical founder building a SaaS product, that's one thing. You can build monolithic, you can manage it all, you can do what you need to do. It's a very different story to doing that, to working on a team of 5 to 10 engineers in a short space of time, working with a large business that's already there, that has no technical skills, that we've got to translate their vision into something, right? It's a whole different story. And what we know for a fact from experience of these projects is how much changes over the course of not only the project, but the life of the product, right? And just from that experience, we know now of how we need to build scalable architecture so we can make changes as quickly as and efficiently as possible. But at the same time, it's as flexible as possible rather than being some behemoth that is almost impossible for a team of people to jump in and out of. This is another thing. Like, yeah, I don't want to get into that. I know it's not the topic of today necessarily specifically, but I think it's important that if you are going to dominate, there's more than one way to achieve things, and people need to realize that. And people need to understand and work with the right partner that understands their business and the long term success and has had the success in their space and knows how to build not only the architecture properly, but everything properly in regards to the actual features and everything. But if you make that foundational decision wrong, or you like get that wrong, we're going to be fighting that for the next 5 or 10 years.
Again, coming back to this monolithic and microservices discussion, this has been gone for a long time in the industry, in this whole industry. Yes, building for when you are small, starting up small, and then monolithic is easy, maintainable, and all that kind of thing. But when you're trying to build a 100-storied building, you build a foundation properly, right? Build the foundation properly. The plan is vision to go there. If your vision is not build a one story building, then you plan the vision foundation properly. You don't invest in another thing. So basically, you are planning to get there. It might take 10 years. We know that, but we should be agile. The application should be agile enough to okay see the evolve with the business, the changes, business scale, and everything. If we are not scalable, the application is not scalable. In a business, if it works properly, in a month's time, it can scale like thousand times. Like from going from one customer to 10 customer might take time, but from 10 customer to 100 is easier, right?
Yeah, correct. I think the big misconception here as well is that we're working with very successful established businesses. Some of these applications have tens of thousands, more than that. With clients that are having 200,000 users, more than that, right? We're not building a SaaS startup MVP that has no product market fit or all of this. It's a completely different thing. So many of these, I know this even, the reason I'm focusing on this because I think it links to the dominate phase. And I know for a fact of the current situation where this has happened, where even another partner has presented a technical solution that we would look at and say that is not in the client's best interest long term, right? But that person has not had experience. Their experience is just this. Nah, we should be nimble. We should be small. They're thinking from an MVP of like, let's build a SaaS product, a SaaS startup, and test the market. What we're doing is not that, as we know, right? If that makes sense, we're not working on those kind
We
of
are not
projects.
experimenting.
Yes, correct. We're not experimenting. We're working on a project that we know is going to be the long term vision of the business, right? So we build it properly from the start. If we're going to invest the amount we're going to invest that is needed to do this properly, then we shouldn't be doing it half-heartedly, right? It should be done properly and make sure that everything is checked off. And there's just so much there, and that's why I want to focus on. We need to get these foundations right. If we do, dominate. The dominate phase is there for the taking for the business.
Exactly. And then like again too, we are not experimenting. We don't want our their customer to experiment this application and then oh this fails here and there. This is slaggy and all that and oh I'll tweak this server and then increase the capacity or they wait for this thing. From the day first impression is last impression for this customers, right? First yeah, when like they experience this app or the slow whatever the experience is very bad, then like That is the last extreme. Oh, this will never improve kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. Again, coming back to the point of like, we're working with businesses that some of them have got 50,000, even 100,000 customers, more than that, right? And records and things like that there. Again, we're not starting for a SaaS startup that's got 5 or 10 customers in the database that we're doing. It's like you might have hundreds of thousands of users or and records, et cetera, that in there. Not only that, we've had operations that have had over 30 locations, et cetera, running at once, right, that are using the system, et cetera. And so I guess the point of it is that when you're working with a massive established business, that this is going to be rolled out to established users and customers. It's a very different story to building a SaaS product from the start.
Yeah, basically, again, I'm imagining the whole thing like a business with 50,000 customers launching the app, and it's a crap, right? The 50,000, like even 5,000 user had a bad experience or 1,000, then gaining back those again customers are very difficult. It's again a bigger cost to them, actually, bigger or bigger cost to them.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a massive risk. And this is even for ourselves. We need to realize this when we're working with clients is that this isn't just a we launch it and etc. We've had a recent experience where we've had challenges with launching, and this is exactly what I'm saying is that this is the customer's impression, right? This is how the product works, right? This is the success of the product, right? The foundational success of the product. Have we got that trust moving forward? That's on launch, obviously. But have we got that trust moving forward for those customers? And yes, with that particular product, we built a really good product overall. So, and yeah, we'll sort out those challenges. But the point of it is that it's so important. We can never learn enough and know enough about these launches and preparing for it and making sure that not just the launch, but everything regarding that experience is well thought out and well thought through. Because if it's not, we risk losing those customers.
Coming back to the another topic of the day dominant phase, we have been jumping around with a lot of topics. When we discuss with this happens, right? We discuss a lot of things. And then this is fun of doing this podcast and episode as well. I love it, like jumping from here and there and then coming back to the point as well.
It can really help businesses or trying to help them understand is that again, we should probably sound like a broken record, but it is that foundation, it is that structure, etc., that sets up the long term success of the business. Not just technical; it's the idea of the product, right? At the foundation, is it technically sound? Yes. Okay. At the foundation, is the core idea and the principle of what we're trying to do actually feasible? Is it intelligent? Because if any of these, let's call them pillars, right, are wrong, then what are we actually doing even here? And this where the idea of it and everything like that, that what we call the acid test or whatever, where we actually challenge that idea is PSV thinking, where we're increasing profitability, enabling scale, and building enterprise value. But again, it's the same kind of thing. We need to be technically sound from a foundation perspective, but also the idea needs to be sound and needs to be past the PSV thinking test of saying this is a long term initiative that we can see influencing all of these areas of the business, right? And if we can do that, then we know we might not get there in one go. As we've said, we get the MVP, but then we go into the dominate phase and we still come back to what PSV thinking. The technical architecture is there, the technical foundation is just constantly asking, how can we use this system, our edge factor, to influence these three pillars? And then we just constantly deliver value on those things.
So ace factor again, coming back to ace factor. Ace factor is again, it's a building your asset, guys. With the if you are building your assets, an asset is not just once of thing. You have your assets. You maintain it, build things around it. So building like again, I've already given the example of house and everything. Everything. It's always if you're building, it's not once of thing. Asset is never once of thing. We don't want to add, and this will, like while discussing this, we don't want to also think of this as I don't. I'll correct myself first. Okay, we are trying to build your asset, not a liability. Ace factor, not a liability. Liability, as in we are talking about in the dominant phase, we have to maintain there's a cost and all that kind of thing. but cost to scale again, cost to in scale, to reinvest that, to change that. It's not that, okay, we say it asset, we say it as factor and all that, and then we are talking about reinvesting and continuously reinvesting as well in the dominant phase. That is when we scale. It's not that actually. It's about evolving.
I think it's come back to, as I said earlier, is it's about consistently delivering that value, right, and getting return for the business. This is the point. Is they say it's an asset, it's not a liability, but an asset is generating returns for the business. That's the point. Sometimes assets need investment; they still need money to keep running, etc. That's not the point, but it's generating returns for the business. And this is if you've got a platform, an initiative that is not generating the ultimate returns for the business, then yeah, look at it. Like this isn't about going there's a lot of digital transformation initiatives or projects that are terrible and people still are investing in them and wondering they're not getting any return. That's not what we're talking about. You should, the point of it is that just means the execution's wrong. What you should have done is made sure that we got the execution right. If we get the execution right and the returns are there, we should keep investing in it. It's that simple, right? And a lot of people just focus in the wrong areas and don't know what to focus on. And further than that, they underestimate the upfront investment from both a money and a time level that is needed. I've said this time and time again, they underestimate the level of investment from both time and money required to get this off the ground and to build the scalable architecture to begin with, that it has a genuine change on the industry and that kind of thing. This isn't just about delivering a B2B portal or an e-commerce website, right? It's a whole different conversation. I was having this conversation with a potential client the other day as well that was talking about, their first conversation kind of came to us and said, oh, we want to build an e-commerce website, B2B e-commerce. Yeah. And I was like, well, we're not the people for that if that's what you want to do. Like, if that's all you want to do, we're not the people for that. And I'm like, okay, interesting. Kind of, why is that? And I said, well, why do you want to just build an e-commerce website? Like, you're not doing anything different. It's a whole different mindset to look at how do we use tech to constantly enable the business to dominate our industry, right? That's the whole point of the dominate phase. It's a whole different approach to say, what if we could do this? Right. For example, if with what we're building ourselves within 2GOS, not to rant on here, but is if we don't, which we're doing, but if we don't ask ourselves, what if we did it this way, or what if we could do this, then we would just go and build what everyone else has built previously, right? Which is not what we're doing for a reason.
Exactly. What we were discussing, our mindset also changed over the 10 years. We were also taking technology as for the sake of technology and trying to, oh, we were also building e-commerce like 10 years ago. That was how we started. But now we regard this e-commerce or everything as a tool to be valuable, to be profitable, and to be scalable. This is tool. Could be e-commerce, could be whatever, but it's a tool to get there. It's not the final result actually. Basically, what can e-commerce do? E-commerce is scalable, like I said. Either it can create a user experience, self-service user experience kind of thing. That is e-commerce, right? That is what e-commerce enables, right? It gives a business to. So outcome is we have named this e-commerce for a while for now, and then everyone is thing, but everyone wants scalability, right, for their business.
Systemization, yeah, which just comes from scalability comes from that systemization. Absolutely. I think, as you said earlier about building that house, you think about like tools like e-commerce or anything in digital transformation. You could use e-commerce, you could use AI, you could just use self-service portals, you could use ERPs, you could use whatever you want to put in there. They're not all the exact same on the same level, but the whole point of it is all of these things are tools that help us. We should be using to create our end experience. Like, what's our overall experience for employees, for customers, for dealers, distributors, whoever it is? What's our overall experience? And imagine someone that is building a house has all the hand tools, has the power tools, has everything. But at the end of the day, they're building that overall experience. It's the same kind of thing. But again, not to just take the specific house analogy, when we've got 5 different stakeholders, we should be having one engine that runs the house, or we talk. This is the analogy I use for kind of that microservices or headless architecture. We're building the powerful engine that 5 vehicles run off, right? So every vehicle the same engine, but there's 5 vehicles that run off that engine. But every vehicle is set up for the employee or the dealer or the customer or whoever it is, that's their vehicle, but we're just running it off the same engine. And it's a very different approach to just like, oh, let's build a website. Let's build an app. Why? What are we doing? What are we actually trying to do here? Are you trying to do something that the industry has never achieved before? Or are you just building an app or a website? There's a very big difference in mindset.
Yeah, I've seen this client discussing, oh, I want AI and everything implemented, these all and implements. What is the value? They're just trying to implement it. Like, what is the value bringing in? There's not thought about it that at all. They are just going with the market, like, oh, I want this in application.
Tech for the
Oh,
sake of tech.
again, yeah. In fact, they have learned it from everywhere, the social media and everywhere. That, oh, this is the tool. Okay, okay, but they haven't actually decided on how to get there. It's not that they're totally wrong. It can be implemented and everything, and how to get there. Because again, AI also needs data and works on data, your data.
Yeah, correct. And this is where, again, the irony of it is, especially the businesses that we work with, I'm talking about every single business, but the businesses that we work with in our space in the industry, such as kind of manufacturing, wholesale, and industrial services, but is the fact that the majority of them are nowhere that 2% along their digital transformation journey, right? 2 or 5%, whatever we want to call it. Yes, they've got an ERP implemented, they've got a CRM implemented, but the CRM's just dirty. There's data everywhere. It's not set up properly. The ERP typically is either very customized, very clunky. Not always, not every time. I'm just saying, is a very common in this space. And then they've got a portal that's disconnected. It's on one piece of thing, and then they do the marketing websites over here doing something else. And they tried to build a mobile app, but they built it as cheaply as possible when they did it with this person, but they had no idea why they were doing it. But now they want to go and implement AI and build a chatbot. Like, it's just a complete wrong. It's the complete wrong way to think about it. Isn't if you're found and again coming back to what you said earlier, but if the foundation isn't there, if we haven't, like, for example, if you're trying to implement AI and your customers are still having to phone you for every single order, you've got a problem. If that makes sense. If this is where, and it's kind of the 80-20 rule. Can customers do 80% of their business with you digitally or not? Can they self-service 80%? If not, then what are we doing? Right. And that comes back to not just like, oh yeah, I can check orders or I can check shipping. Your whole business. Can they do 80% of what the account manager, the customer service manager, the sales manager, whatever would do with that customer? Can they do that themselves whenever they want it, wherever they want it? Right. And for example, we might take we're working with a potential client now, as you know, with in a specific industry, but where essentially we're trying to not only do this from an orders perspective and everything else. That's amateur or like basic level. But how do you then, with this dominate phase, how do we look at going, let's deliver value at scale that a human could do, or we could do through an algorithm or whatever else, but that is delivered to everyone in real time in their own personalized experience, which is, maybe at this particular instance is an application, right? But we're not just showing them, oh, your order was picked up. We're actually adding value to their operations and their end, which then they become part of our ecosystem and don't leave, right?
Exactly. But I also felt this digital transformation is not just about working in the business, it's about working on the business, as we have been discussing this for quite often while we're building into US in our company as well. It's like, suppose we have an application. Anyway, if someone has to go on a vacation for 3 months, the business can still run, operated with all the system, everything self-service. Employer has all the data they need. The team members have all the data. They can self-service their job. Everything is done. That's the level of digital transformation we aim for. That is the basics right now. That is the fundamentals for every business, I guess.
Should they? But no one's nearly there, right? And this is the point. We know for a fact that then, even when businesses are valued or whatever, even for investment, not even for selling or whatever, it's just they looked at like, okay, how wow, this company's doing something that no one else could do. And then that's one point of it. The other significant point for us and what we're more focusing on for IntuitUS, and even I'm saying specifically for ourselves, for our own edge factories, it should be the number one reason people deal with us. For example, they want IntuitUS, right? Because it gives them value that they could not get anywhere else. And it's that simple. Have you got that in your own business? That's what we're trying to help you build.
All right, guys. Then we'll try to summarize this episode for the Disruptors. Thanks, Julian. I had a lot of fun today. We're just thinking and then we're discussing. We had nothing planned, nothing at all, but we enjoy talking. And then hope you guys, our listener, also enjoy the talk, way we talk and all that kind of thing. We have a lot of things to share and other episode as well. As we grow, we evolve, we share our learnings, and then we try to disrupt the market, your business in a better way, in a better direction, the best direction we can. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Julian.
Thanks, mate. It was a good chat. Thank you.
That's a wrap on this episode of The Disruptors. If you are serious about unlocking your ace factor, the thing that sets your business apart and helps it grow sustainably, don't forget to follow, share, and leave a quick review. We will be back next week with more real world insights and no flop conversations on how to rethink your systems, modernize operations, and build value that lasts. Until then, stay sharp, stay focused, and keep disrupting.